The next stop, 413, that's 1.27. I'll lighten up another 5%, and then I'll lighten up another 5% at $5, 513. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel for another trading day. And today cryptocurrency is still flying, Bitcoin holding all-time highs. We got XRP hitting all-time highs. So what do we do next? Now that they're flying, what do we do next? You can't just sit and think it's going to go up into ad infinitum. So where do we set some targets? Where do we lighten up? So let's go to Bitcoin first. Still battling with that level I've identified to you on Monday, but that's the first point that we took some profits on. 123, that's the levels there, and that was a perfect one. There's resistance. I'm not saying it's going to sell off from there, but if you want to lighten up, I closed 5% of my Bitcoin holding there. The next stop is the 1.27. I covered all this on Monday's video. Is 125, 126. That'll be another 5% of my portfolio. And then the next 1.618 is 135 and then 147. Those are the four levels that I'm watching. Got this little bit here, so I'm going to go 5%, 5. So on the end, if it hits 150, I will be lightened up with 20% of my portfolio. That leaves me with 80% if it keeps running, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So we have to lighten up into the rallies. You know, we have to buy in. We have to be brave buying into the drops, and then into the rallies. You know, how many emails do I get? Can I buy now? And I go like, you can buy anytime, but why didn't you buy on the pullback? Yeah, I was afraid. So, well, if you were afraid, you better be afraid now also, because you buy in right on the highs, which is quite tough if it starts to retrace. So we've seen that what happens with Bitcoin when it dropped, I would like 60% a few years ago. So Bitcoin pushing, holding nicely. I see that Bitcoin dominance is tapering down. So altcoin season might be on the way. I'm not saying it's there yet. It's still dominating, but the dominance are coming down, so we'll see. Ethereum flying like crazy, beautiful on the weekly charts. If you look at the daily charts here, a little bit of a race there, flying this morning, earlier this week, flying like crazy. So what next? I've marked some levels. Now, if you lightened up, I didn't lighten up, yes, I've said some of my entries wasn't that great, but now it starts to look good. So this one I didn't do. I did lighten up slightly there, 5% there. I'll be doing maybe another 5% there. I'm lying there, so we'll see. And another 5% on those highs. Now, if we go back there, there's a few other levels that we can use. With Ethereum flying way more than Bitcoin, that shows that altcoin season's on the way. 48.33, that's that high there that we're looking at. And that's the area that I will lighten up more. So I will lighten up there, and then on that previous weekly high there, and then I will let it run. Then we will most likely move to monthly charts to get some Fibonacci levels. But those are the levels for now. Let's not run too far ahead of ourselves and get too excited. But that 37.60 and 40.95, almost the $4,100 levels. That's that level, and then that level up there is your $4,800 levels. So those are the levels. I'm going to lighten up at 5%, 5%, 5%. Let's see, at least this position I took down here, which I suffered with, is saving my butt a little bit. Before we continue, thank you for today's sponsor, Inkasu. Do you struggle with customer queries that takes up all your time? Contact Inkasu to help transform your website customer focus with an integrated AI staff member. For more info, check out the link in the description. Solana, beautiful, running up. I'm not that keen on taking profits on Solana yet, but okay, I think a 5% here would be adequate. We've got a long way to go for the next resistance level. So a 5% here, 187 should be fine. And then 264, you can see it's a big jump, and then 294. Those are the levels that I've identified. We've got nothing else. Those are the only levels that I've got. Then we will have to move to Fibonacci's, because then it will be all-time highs, or well, price discovery at this stage. So we'll see. But a little 5%, nothing more than that, guys, nothing more than that. Altcoin season is still coming. We're going to see that end of the year, most likely beginning of next year. So I won't take out aggressively, but as I've did here, I took some little bit targets, so it made this drop just more bearable. and it leaves me cash to buy back in again. All right, so Solana, that's what we're looking at, 187, 264, 294, and then beyond. That will leave me with 85% of my Solana position still up. XRP breaking to all-time highs. If you go to weekly charts there, that's the all-time highs, and I lightened up on that high there, so that's great. And I lightened up here at $3. I got 5% out of $3, 5% out of $3.50. I set it at $3.50. Some chart shows a higher all-time high than what we see here, and so I've got 10% off on my XRPs. Now, where do we go now? We can't even get MT4 to I did draw in the Fibonacci's there. Okay, I'm gonna stick there. The next stop on the daily charts, on the weekly chart Fibonacci's, I'll show where I drew the Fibonacci just now. The next stop, 413, that's 1.27. I'll lighten up another 5%, and then I'll lighten up another 5% at $5, 513. That's the two next big levels, guys. If you go back to the weekly charts, you'll see I drew in the Fibonacci. Oh, now it stays there. I drew in the Fibonacci from there to there. See that area there? You can even go and say, you know what, let's pull it down there. But that gives you similar answers. That takes you through to 417 and 520. So that's really the levels that we're looking at. So I can extend them slightly, but don't wait exactly on the level. Just go before that. If anybody is selling now while we're in price discovery, uncharted territory here, we should remember that these are the only options we've got is Fibonacci levels. And if anybody wants to sell, they're going to look at Fibonacci levels. So make sure that you just lie before them and don't close out too much. Right, so for me, I closed out 5% at the $3 level, 5% at the $3.50 levels, and now I'm going I think I'm lying there on 415. I'm going to lie on 515. Right, now I might decide as it move up to go just below the $5, and maybe just like $3.99 and $4.99. I will make up my mind. If it keeps going up in this fashion, I'll push for that extra 15-16 cents. So XRP doing really well. XLM following XRP, but not that great this week still so far. Look at the dailies. It gave up on that level. You see, this is what happens with the resistance levels. We've identified that level at 51 cents, and then we got the sell-off. So it ran up there. So that was the first 5% taking profits, and the second 5% is at 63 cents. And from there on, we have to use Fibonacci's yet again. Let's see if I can get this thing to move. I can't get MT4 to Y. MT4 was not written for cryptocurrency moves. It was written for normal currency moves. But all right, so this target was hit. If you still want to get out there, no problem. But then 63 cents. Then we will move on. The next stop would most likely be close to 90 cents to $1. Right, but that's 5% and 5%, and that's it. That's what I will take off. Bitcoin Cash pushing now a little bit after selling off more than the rest of the market. My first target on Bitcoin Cash is 641. That's where I will lighten up. And you could have lightened up here, but we hit that earlier. I thought it was going to fly much harder than that, so I didn't. And well, now I'm glad to a certain extent, but if it's going to come back, I'm going to cry. But my first target now, if you exited some here, I mentioned that one of the previous videos, at $500, 100%, as long as it's not more than 5% of your bag. Now 641, that's my next level. 641, and then we're going to move on to that area there, which is 715. Right, so $640, $715, those are the two levels. I'm not going to bore you with all the Fibonacci levels now. It's not needed yet. By the time we get up there, we will get interested in the Fibonacci levels, but those are the two target levels I will be using. Chainlink, now this was the first level of a target if you wanted to, 5%, 100% fine. I did take off 5% there because the run to the next level is so big. It's about 50% above what we've got here. So the next one is $26 and the next one is $30. Those are the levels that you can use to set some targets, but do not close more than 5% of your portfolio. There's some more levels. The weekly charts are awesome for some target setting. There's a $36 coming up, there's a $38 coming up, but I'm not after that. I'm after that, but I'm after this too for now. But quite a hectic way before Chainlink will get there. Big candle, big pattern coming in here. So the ultimate, this one you can even leave if you want to, because this is like a flag pattern, and the objective, the minimum objective of a flag pattern is that high, those highs there. So $30, but 26.50, 27, and then 30. If you close up 5 and 5, you know, you're not closing up too much, but you're locking in a handsome profit. Then Dogecoin pushing now nicely off, was really lagging the rest of the market. So depends on your entries. The first level that you can potentially take off 5% of your bag is 25.90. Let's call it 26 cents or 25 cents. That's what we can do. And then the next one is 43 cents, and then we got 48 cents. So those are my 3 targets at this stage. Close 5%, 5%, 5%. I don't want to close too much yet. Uniswap pushing greatly up the page now after nice entries down here. Pushing, we got the 3 levels here also. 11.20, we got 15.70, and we got 19.45. Those are my 3 levels then on Uniswap. Cardano now hitting the first target, closing 5% here at 86 cents. Next one $1.16, and the next one $1.32. Those are my 3 targets that I'm setting, closing 5% of all my of whatever I own on that. Litecoin pushing nicely, also got to the first target. 5%, not that I've closed a lot, again just 5%, 5%, 5%. Now Litecoin 106, 139, almost 140, and 146, 147. Those are the 3 targets. We're lightening up, guys. That's releasing cash for when you see a retracement. Polkadot a little bit behind the rest. So Polkadot got a little bit of entries here and historical entries. So these ones are still a little bit tough, but seeing that the rest of the market is running, this one should pull up the page. So I think a little 5% either here or there. That one, I will see what the rest of the market do. I still got the $8 level loaded there. Got a $6 there, $5.40, and $11.60 there. So those are the levels, but I don't think I'll do 5 and 5 here. I'm going to pick a level. I'll see how it approaches. At this stage, this is the more stronger level, which I will lighten up. If I decide to lighten up here, most likely I will not lighten up there further. I will push for those levels there. But guys, trading isn't just about my insights. Please fill up the comments below the video. You can support this channel by checking out all the links in the description. Thank you for joining me today on this trading journey. Remember that trading carries risk, so don't forget to trade responsibly and never trade with money you cannot afford to lose. I can't wait to see my next video. Until then, trade well.